Quick one before we start. If you're a birth worker and you don't know what your next steps in your business are, whether you're just getting started or you've been at this a while, I've made a free quiz for you. It shows you what stage your birth biz is actually at and what to focus on next, without any generic advice. It'll only take you a minute to complete, and the link is in the show notes. Right, let's get into today's episode. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Niamh Cassidy. I'm really excited to be joined today by Charlie Cleary. She is a marketing simplification strategist who spent 20 years working in corporate across loads of different industries before deciding she'd had enough of making rich companies richer. She now supports female founders to simplify their marketing, build strategies that actually work for their energy and lifestyle, and ultimately earn more without burning out or becoming slaves to the algorithm. So when I heard Charlie talking about this before, I said, Charlie, you are a woman for me. She is passionate about getting more money in women's hands because, just like me, she believes that when women earn more, everyone benefits, and that's what we're going to chat about today. But before we get into that, Charlie, I'm really interested to know what made you take the leap from that corporate career to going in and working for yourself?
It was frustration more than anything. I didn't hate what I did. I worked for some amazing world-class huge brands, travelled all over the world, spent millions of their money. It was fabulous. I loved it. But then I got really frustrated and a little bit bored, and I'm not very good at being bored. I cannot sit at a beach and read a book. I can't sit still. I'm just like, is this it? I think it was just a thing. And it wasn't like a light bulb moment. I didn't have this huge, big, light from the sky. So they hit me. It was just like over time going, this is it. Okay. This is boring. I didn't understand. Like it was like kind of out of nowhere. I was doing my job and that was it. And I just thought that's as far as it's going to get. I had no concept of running a business. I never, ever wanted to start my own business. It was just really like a thing of like, well, I've done the corporate thing. That's what I do next. Then you have to start your own business because that's the logical next step. Turns out that's not true. And most people work in corporate, get fed up, stay in corporate. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Definitely not. So almost overnight went, I'm going to start my own business because I love working with women. I love working in marketing. How do I join that together and stop making generally rich men richer? And it was like, yeah, let's not do that anymore because I'm tired and they're richer. No. So I stopped. I started my own business and it was about 4 years ago.
That's amazing. And it's really interesting to hear that it wasn't a big light bulb moment, but at the same time happened kind of quickly, it sounds, where you were kind of like, do you know what, actually, this doesn't have to be my life. I think that's what I'm getting from it. There was a decision where you were like, I don't actually have to keep doing this.
No. And it's weird actually, because I talk about this a lot. And you talk to many people and this is the life you're told that's what you're supposed to do. You go to school, you go to uni, you do qualifications, you go and get a job, you experience, you work in massive companies or you move around. And that's what you're supposed to do. And I never even thought, I was talking to a lady about this the other day, never at school said start your own business was an option. Like it was, I remember going to my careers teacher and saying I wanted to be a solicitor or a storm chaser. I think I just watched Twister. And I was like, okay, they were the options. And she said, I don't know what those are. So she couldn't advise me as in the careers advice. It was like, but no one ever said start your own business. And it's just like, wow, that's not even a choice or an option. And it is, I believe, a bit more now with kids at school or, later on. But it's like, oh, okay. And then once you get into corporate and you're in that hamster wheel, there is no other option. You just keep going up that ladder until you stop, or there's quite a ceiling for some of us, and females in the industry, and that's it. And it's like, okay, so it wasn't like a big like, oh, this is obvious, this is the next step, or this is what I really want to do. It's like, what are my choices, and what can I do? And that was the kind of light bulb moment I'd say I had.
Yeah, and you're totally right. Like definitely when I was in school as well, there was no talk of self-employment or working for yourself. That probably would have been seen as very risky or, just definitely not something that women did for sure. But I do see, I think a lot more kids now are looking to work for themselves and make money, which is great.
They definitely are.
Great to see.
So good.
There is that moment though, where when you do have a career and you're thinking about something else, and there's the safety of the job and the career and doing well enough. And why would you give it up for this?
Yeah, I went through all of that though. I mean, you're told in your corporate career, go for your appraisal and see what the next step is and what's the next promotion or what's your career path. And I did all of that stuff. And it's like, but that was someone else's choice. They
Hmm.
said in my career, with my appraisal, this is the job we think you should go for, or this is the, move you should make, or this is, or if you got lucky enough, I worked in very male dominated industry. So I didn't see many women in senior positions. And it was like, I never saw a female CEO in the whole time, 20 years in corporate. And you're like, oh, I saw not very many female directors, very many female heads of systems. So it's like, where do I go? I don't see myself in any of these roles. I don't want to be one of them white middle-aged men. So the choices were really limited. And it's just like, oh, okay, that's the path I'm supposed to do. And then when you kind of think, is that it? And it really is just a question of, is that it? And what else can I think about? It just really stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, oh, okay, make your own path, do something else. And it
I love
wasn't
that.
like a light bulb, it's not kind of a revolution, but it feels like it now because now I'm on the other side. I'm like, oh, look at the things I can do. What can't I do? And try and test me. I really feel like I'm more challenged, but like, you just wait, so I'll show you what I can do or what you think I can't. So yeah, this bit has made me much more, I don't know what the word is. I say what you said about safe actually is a really interesting thing because this is the safest job I will ever have because I get to control all the money coming in and all the money going out. It's totally up to me. Whereas in my previous corporate careers, I was made redundant twice. You are not safe. You are a number on a spreadsheet until they don't need that number anymore. That's exactly what it is because you're part of their business. So when people go, oh, the safe job, or when you have that question when someone says, oh, you're in your own business, and they do the head tilt and say, but do you ever want to go back to corporate? And you're like, no, because that's not safe. I'm not on someone else's path. If I'm not on their agenda, I'm not in their business. It's like, right, and it feels very impersonal, but this is the safest job I'm going to have. If I need to make more money next month, I will make more money. If I want to have a break, I'll take a break. Like, it's just really as much more in our control, I think. And I think
Hmm.
people get that difference between the safety of a corporate job or an employed job and the control. And I
Yeah.
think there's a real difference. And I think people need to have real think about that. And the people that normally say to you with the head tilt, are you ever going to go back to corporate, are the ones that either do not understand being an entrepreneur, do not understand running their own business, and their fears that they put on you of like, oh, can you pay the mortgage? Can you do this? Can you do all these things? Is because they think they could never do it. And then they go, well, how do you do it? Like, you just have to be really brave, really courageous and go for it, I think.
Absolutely. And I love that reframe to the safety of self employment because even for myself, every so often, a job ad comes up and I kind of think, I could do that job, and then I think, but I don't want to. It's like, I don't want to work all those hours for somebody else for that amount of money and have to ask permission to do all the other things that I want
Yes,
to do. So
definitely.
I really like that idea of looking at self employment
Yeah,
as safer because you're in more
this is
control.
safe.
I'll be taking that one on. I like it.
Yeah.
So, part of it as well, we talked about the men in the businesses that you worked for and or whether they
Mm.
were the CEOs or they owned and making other people richer or making quite often men richer as workers, which is what most of us do. So when we bring that back to now looking at the importance of putting money into the hands of women, for you, where is the big drive in that, or what's the big importance? Why is it important that women have more money?
Well, I'm not going to speak for all women. However, they just spend it better. I mean, just generally women, and there are studies, and I really need to find them and quite so I can quote them a bit more eloquently. But there are studies, and there's definitely things I've read and kind of research, and that women spend their money on community, whereas men spend it on individuality. Let's try and say it nicely like that. And it is, women generally go, am I okay, right? Or who needs this money first, or where does this money need to go? Whereas men just spend it. And that's on a big scale and a small scale. It really could be just, within your local network or in your group of WhatsApp, for girlfriends on your thing. Someone says a problem. What do you need? How can I help? What can we do? Like, that's the general support. And men do that. And that's why I'm not massively generalizing. But there is just a way of like making sure everyone else is okay. And when that comes to money, it's like, what can I do with this money? You don't always think, I'm going to buy flashy car, big watch. There is an exercise I did once in a networking group where you had to side to side channel, but you had 2 minutes, I think it was, to write down what you would spend £50,000 on. You could only spend it on you. You couldn't give it away. You couldn't pay for things like pay your mortgage off or something like that. You had to go, here's £50,000. How would you spend this in 2 minutes? And it was a mixed group on the call. It was really interesting. Me, then 3 other women on the call. I couldn't spend like over 20 grand. I couldn't do it. Some men had done it in under a minute and spent the whole thing and did it really easily. And it was just like, wow, it's such an interesting shock. I was like, can I buy dog food? No, I can't buy dog food. Can I buy this? No. Can I buy? I don't want a flashy handbag. I don't want these things. It was really hard to spend it on ourselves. And it was really interesting, that kind of just thought. Whereas the men just went bang, bang, bang and did it really easily. It was like, oh, I love that. How exciting. Yeah. And it's like, I found it really painful to do. So it's just a thought of like, women do just consciously spend their money differently, I think. And then when they are focused and they actually have a bit more power and influence, they go, right, what can we do with this money to help others or make others better? And I love that whole idea and community, which is interesting because in my corporate world, it didn't feel like that. Other women kind of got money, but you're never allowed to talk about promotions. You're never allowed to talk about your salary. So money is a very taboo subject, even in the corporate world, when there's a lot more of it. Whereas now, as an entrepreneur and like working with small business owners, we do talk about money. We want to talk about money. We want to share money. We were like, oh, you've got an idea? How can I help you do that? How can I collaborate more? And I just find it's just a better conversation. So I think more women should have more power and more money because like the world would be a very different place to what it is now.
Absolutely. And we know that there is research to back that up, as you said, for both points, the point on when women have more money, when we have more than enough, than what we do with what we have. And even lots of people who don't have enough will still do what they have. And also the more focus on community and on the group. Women, we're driven by oxytocin, and that's the hormone that makes us collect people, babies, children, family, and makes us look after everyone. Whereas men, when in a stressful situation, they're more likely to exhibit adrenaline, which is the get everything away. Now, there is a protection in it as well. Now, interestingly, when they become fathers, they become more towards oxytocin than the adrenaline as well. But the way society is structured, or whether it's innate in women, we don't know. We tend to be more about the gathering, the community, the bringing people together. And at the same time, we probably have much bigger hang-ups about money and about about wanting it or deserving it. What would you think about that?
I see that a lot with my clients, actually. Just the conversation we have about pricing is really interesting because it's a massive part of marketing and we have to talk about it. And I always say, if you don't talk about your business, you've got the best kept secret on the internet, because it's amazing, but you've not talked about it. And then once you get over talking about it, then it's like, okay, how much is your thing? How much you can't talk about prices. I had a client who actually said, I won't put my prices on my website because it's not what my industry does. I was like, how does your industry make any money if your prices are on you? And she was like, oh no, well then we'll have a call, then we'll talk about it, and I'll send a proposal. Then, and I said, after all that, you're then going to tell people the price. What if they go, oh, that's too much? It's like, I strongly believe talk about your prices up front is a really good. You get rid of the tire kickers, you get people in, you kind of validate people self-validate, oh no, that's not for me. So I really think you can talk about prices, but pricing and money is such a hard conversation for women about, like you say, the hang-ups, the thoughts, societal pressures, the guilt of wanting to have more money, or how dare they put their prices up. And actually I was talking to a friend this morning who said she was trying to talk to a client about stop trying to sell 10, 40 pound things, because it's so much energy to say, the same energy to sell a 40 pound thing as it to sell a 400 pound thing. I'd rather sell a few more 400 pound things than 10, 40 pound things and keep doing that. But it's just like, oh, but that feels easier or safer, or it's quicker or easier to sell a cheaper thing. No, it's exactly the same energy. But there's so many like hang-ups about the pricing side of it. It's like once women get over that, then it's like, oh, but it's a real thing of pricing worth and their value. That whole little myriad of like, well, I can't say that because I can't do it. And I definitely did it when I started my business. I was like, who am I to charge that price? Who am I to do that? And I remember a coach saying, you've got 20 years corporate marketing experience. And I was like, yes, not enough. She was like, no, that's plenty. That's enough. And I was like, yeah, okay. And she was like, but we really devalue our experience and then try and put a price on it is such a mind stress. I would say it's really difficult. So when I do my marketing, actually, the first thing we do is mindset. How do you feel about your value? How do you feel about your prices? How you do? Because if you don't feel comfortable and confident in your prices, how do you expect to sell them? And how do you expect someone to buy it? It's a really tricky kind of thing. But it's like, but I've seen on Instagram, I can sell these digital products for £40 and it'll be fine. It's like, if you don't believe in that, you won't sell a single one. So it's a really tricky thing that you really have to go over. And it's such a female thing because you do not get it. Men do not have the same thoughts at all.
No, and
Definitely
it
don't
is,
think that.
I would find the same with clients that people often come, so they probably come to you for the marketing, they want your experience in marketing, but it's the mindset that we need to start with. And I would have the same, people want the strategy, how do I grow my business as a birth worker? It's kind of like, well, first of all, we're going to have to look at this. We're going to have to work on that mindset. And I think, even though you came from a corporate career, I think just as women, we are so influenced by the fact that a lot of women's roles have been in caring professions, which are
Yes.
typically very underpaid. And then when women started moving into other professions, they stayed like slightly better paid, but still underpaid because the bar was set so low in payment, not in how hard people work. I was listening to Amanda Francis the other day, and she was talking about working hard and people saying, well, do I have to work this hard to get to this point my business? And she was like, no, if that was the case, then all the waitresses would be rich, like the waitresses and the teachers. If it was about hard work, those people would be,
as an ex-waitress, I could tell you,
would be the wealthiest people. That's not to say that we don't need to put energy and effort into our businesses, but if it was purely down to how hard we work, it'd be the people in the Amazon factory making all the money, not the guy at the top.
Well, I was talking to a friend last night who's a retired nurse, and it's like nurses do the most amazing, and she said, oh, if you had a tough day at work, and I was like, yeah, a bit tough. And then I kind of look at her and think, you worked in nursing for 30 years. I can't moan about, I sit and talk to amazing women on the internet, and I say that's a tough day. It's like, I think there's a difference between how hard you work or how hard people perceive that to be, and also what people's level of hard work is, because it's different for everyone. So I think then people go, oh, nursing, it's a tough job. I would not want to do it. My mum's not well at the moment. I've got lots of hospital visits, and I just look at the nurses in there in absolute awe because they're just, not quite gliding around, but there's nothing phases them. They're really amazing at what they do. And you just think, I couldn't do this all day. And they're probably getting paid half of my, old corporate salary. That's madness. And then you look at footballers is my other example of like, I couldn't play football for anyone. I couldn't, even if you paid me, but they get paid quite a lot for versus the hard work. It's like, I don't think it's measured on that. I think it's measured on perceived value, and the perceived value is from someone else, not the person doing the work. So irrelevant of what industry it's stuff, it's really it's all perception. I don't think it is measured on, if you could measure work, it'd be like, okay, we'd, like you say, waitresses for millionaires, which I'd love to have done that, but it's not like that at all, is it? It's really different. It's perceived value, and I think that's what we put, kind of people on pedestals or industries and certain things, and then it's like male or female. I think there's a whole difference in all of that.
And that perceived value really plays into our pricing and all of that. So being able, there's perceived value, there's two parts to it, I think. There's the perceived value of what we think other people think this service is worth. And there's the guilt of, I don't want to price people out of the help that they need.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a third part that people miss as well, is your services are so valuable, and we just, you want to help people and you want to support people and you want to, help people. I want to help people with their marketing, and that's really valuable. If it helps a woman and it changed her business and then she will make 10 grand next month, it's like, that's huge. It's a massive thing. So if my service and what I do, my work I do, helps her make an extra 10 grand next month, it's like, that's brilliant. I'd love to do that. I'll do this all day. It's like, but that's worth something. So I should charge something for that. That's equivalent. I don't know how you can't quite work it out of like, oh, I can make you 10 grand. I mean, please don't listen to any marketers say I'll make you 10 grand next month, because that's also not true. There's a lot of fake marketing out there. But if I can do that, it's like, okay, wow, how can I do that? And what will she do with that money? And that ripple effect again back to women and community. So when I think about my prices and my, service and my work, you think, oh, but I'm just chatting to a woman, or I'm just doing this, is the answer that stops all of us doing anything. And it's like, right, my prices need to reflect the transformation that I help and give, and then the ripple effect that then does. So yeah, I'm probably not charging you either, I think, in that conversation.
And it can be especially hard for people doing the type of work that I do and what my clients do around actually supporting mums and babies, and the feelings that are attached to that work. So being able to charge appropriately can be a challenge for a lot of people. And a lot of us will have come from volunteer work as well. So we would have done some of the work for free previously, and now we're moving into paid work. So that can be, it can be a challenge, but it's definitely a challenge that can be overcome. And there's about for me anyway, there's about finding some level of a balance, and I'd be interested in your thoughts. And for me, one of the things that I would talk to people about is that when I was starting doing this work and I wasn't doing that well, I wasn't earning very much money, and I was still doing my volunteer work alongside it. After a while, I started to almost resent the time that I was given to the volunteer work, because I felt it was taken away from time where I could possibly be making money in my business. And I started to feel a little bit edgy about it. And it was only then when I kind of worked a little bit more on my mindset and on the business as well at the same time, and started to kind of do well enough where I felt more energized and happy that I could give my time to this again, because I felt safe or happy or comfortable in the other side of it.
I think as well, we get stuck in that trap, and doesn't it really matter what if you're doing service-based stuff of like that time for money exchange? Because you think, oh, I've only got this amount of time, so you will resent, and it's really obvious, isn't it? I'm going to do some free work because that's what I've been doing, that's what led me into my business, but I resent it because I've only got a certain amount of time, and then you have to think smarter about your time, and then you have to think, where am I putting my time? What's the thing? This one of the things I love doing the most is I do a free LinkedIn talk every month. And it is free. I don't, no one pays for it, but I go off and give me marketing advice. But it's like, I love that. I really love that. But it took me a while to go, should I charge for this? Should I have a little ticket? Well, it really is, do you think, because you're exchanging time for money. My time could be valuable elsewhere. But it's like, actually, if I'm going in and making an impact and I'm growing my email list or I'm doing something, valuable with that time, that's still worth the time. So I think there's a real juggle, isn't there? Oh, and it comes back to, and one of the things I talk about a lot is, what should I be doing? Drives me insane. That word should, I just think the internet has got a lot to play for, to say, like, I should be doing this. I should be on all social platforms. I should be spreading my offer and these things. I should have 10 different offers and I can't, rule anyone out. That should is just really debilitating. And I think it stops people doing anything. Oh, I should be doing this. So I don't do it because I'm not quite sure. And then I stop. And then I don't do anything because I'm so annoyed or frustrated or procrastinate a lot of things. So that completely throws me as well.
Absolutely. I mean, when we're trying to force ourselves into something that isn't what we want to do, so the should versus the want, I suppose, or what we enjoy doing, that can still help grow our business. And going back to what you were saying about the free LinkedIn talk that you do, like when you talked about that, your face kind of lit up, and it was like, I quite enjoy doing this. And it's the same for me with my volunteer breastfeeding group. It's like, when I'm there now, I enjoy it. I love it. I just love being there as part of the group and making the tea and helping the moms and, just doing all those things. And there's no resentment there anymore, because I'm happy to do it, because I've figured it out that it's okay I'm happy to give my time to this now, because I feel whether that's safer or more comfortable in my earning capacity in the rest of my time. And I do think around the kind of where we started and the women of making money, and around community and what we do with that money, is that when our basic needs are met. So I'll often talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm from a social care background. So your basic needs are your food, warmth, shelter, love and security. Then you've got your next needs, which are like having meaningful work or hobbies, then you've got love and safety, and then at the top you've got your self-actualization. And the more of those needs that we get met as we go up, the more space we have to do the other things, to do more, to give more of either our time or our, women are also probably the biggest donators into charities in the world, I believe. So the more we have safety and comfort in ourselves, the more we have to give to other people.
Definitely. And it's a real thing, because that's how I talk about the marketing that I, help women with. Because my first question is, what marketing do you love doing? And they go, no one loves doing it. I mean, I don't even love my marketing sometimes, but I know. But it's like, they go, what do you love? Which one do I love doing? Okay, let's refine it then. What do you love doing? Do you prefer speaking on stages or writing blogs? Oh, I'm a speaking on stages kind of. I definitely am. I couldn't write blogs so much. I can't stand it. But I love speaking on stages or talking on these things. Okay, let's do the marketing you love, because you'll do it better. You'll do it more. You won't resent it. If I think I should be on Instagram doing videos, you won't do it, would you? You'd force yourself. You'd feel resentful. You'd do those things. So once you find the marketing you love, then it's easier. Then you actually enjoy doing it. And it's really then is like, I look forward to doing my marketing and not realize that you don't have to do everything else. If you don't want to be dancing on TikTok, let's not dance on TikTok. But if you do, right, let's get you on the table. Let's get you dancing. But that's the thing. If you love doing that, you'll do it with so much passion and so much more energy, so much more enthusiasm. And I think those things, once people work that out with their marketing, then it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like marketing. It feels like, oh, I get to go and talk to these amazing women in a networking thing, or I get to go and write my blog. I get to sit quietly with a cup of tea and I'm going to write down all my thoughts and write this into a beautiful blog that I'm going to then repurpose into a newsletter and then make into something else. Like, once I get that, instead of going, what I should be doing to run my business is a load of social media posts and networking in groups that I hate and speaking in things that I don't want to do. Well, no one would want to do that. And again, back to that control about running your own business, you get to choose. So when we go, this is what I should be doing, who's putting these mad rules on us? It's us. And as women, we do this really intensely of like, we set up all these rules or these things that we think we need to do. And it's like, well, why am I in such this burnout or all this pickle? Because I've set these rules for myself that, where is that coming from? And then you kind of look around and go, oh, yeah, it's me. It's me. Totally me, because I control every element of this business. So I think go back to what you love and, like you say, the needs that you want. And that's important. And then start with those, your foundations. And then everything else gets easier or more enjoyable.
It does. And I think as well, something that we do is that we have all the shoulds. So I should be doing, and we're trying to do a little bit of all of the things, but we're not doing any of them very well because we're splitting ourselves too thinly in that. I think another thing about marketing is that definitely I know when people come to me first mentioning marketing or sales or, most people think marketing, I find, is this is what I have to offer. Please buy it from me.
Yes.
If not anything else. It's only the buy, but please buy this thing for me. Please sign up for this thing. And they don't realize that things like blogging or speaking on stage or other things are also marketing.
Yes. I had a client, I say, a few late last year, and she just said, I hate social media. I really don't. And I was like, why are we talking about social media? And she said, well, that's what other marketing is then. And I was like, what? I started marketing before social media existed, so you're making me feel old. And she really just, I think, because we think these things are so attached to us, that's the world. And it's like, actually, and she was the one actually who wrote really beautifully and writes an amazing blog and a newsletter that is most effective marketing. It's like, if that's the only marketing we think there is, then we're really going to struggle. So I think people really need to, just kind of work out what we should be doing. I don't think that's true, but also what we really love doing, and then really lean into those things and being prepared to say no to other things. I think that's a very female trait, isn't it? Yes to everything. That's why we're spinning all these plates, because we said yes to everything. Because there's the people pleasing, or it's the list of shoulds, or the things that you think you need to be doing because you've read everything on the internet and downloaded every free guide that tells you how to run a business. It's like, all of these things I'm not doing very well. But actually, if we say no to stuff and be really clear and go, I'm going to say no to stuff and I'm going to do these things really well for the next month or next 3 months. That's the advice I give to my clients. Let's just see what happens. And I can guarantee they feel a lot better. They get better results. They actually enjoy these things. And it's like, how strange, isn't it? And you don't forget those other things, or you put them on the back burner for later on. It's like, but saying no to things, I think, is a very powerful way.
And it definitely is, and that's definitely something we all struggle with, is having the people pleasing and wanting to say yes to everything, for not wanting to let anybody down. And thinking about marketing as well, though, sometimes I do wonder, there's I really enjoy blogging, but all of my clients are looking for their service provider on Instagram. So what do you advise people if there's a mismatch between, say, what they enjoy doing versus where their prospective clients might be looking?
I would really look into that mismatch, because it's like, if you're really connected with your clients, then you normally do similar things. And it's like, well, why am I blogging? So I really look into that, think of like, are they really my ideal clients, would be my first question. Because you get told that's really right, that I work with ex-corporate women, because obviously then all my ideal clients are on LinkedIn. Are they? Well, yeah, they probably are, but they're also all over Instagram and all over Facebook. But so I would definitely just dig into where are these exact ideal clients, and then why do you feel like you're not kind of connected with them, that you're doing something so different that they're not doing that thing, and you're like, okay, that would be interesting. But then my final tip is recycle. If you're good at blogs, recycle them into something else that where they will see it into, so you can make a blog into a newsletter, you can make a blog into an Instagram post, you make a blog into a video, even if you need to say your blog out loud, make it into a transcript, and you film it into little video clips and something like that. So reuse and recycle what you've got, because you'll work smarter then. If you write one blog and then you repurpose it in different ways in all these different areas, then you've got actually a lot more content on a lot more different platforms that you haven't got. I need to go on YouTube today and I need to write a script and I need to think about this. Now I've got my blog, I can repurpose that into a script. So recycle stuff and work smarter, not harder, definitely.
I fully agree. I was hoping that's what you'd say, because that's what I do.
Okay. That's what you think.
Because it is. It's about finding what you love, and then if you need to put it somewhere else, just figuring out how you can use what the work you've already put in
definitely
into something else. So not reinventing the wheel over and over again, because then we will all
the
end
question
up
this leads into it. A question I get asked a lot is, I've got nothing to say. And like you said, they stand up and go, this is my business, this is what I do, buy my thing. And you're like, oh, that's exciting. And that's not you. And they go, I've got nothing to say, I don't know how I craft it, I don't know what I do, I don't know what I do. Just tell your story. It sounds so easy, but it really is the best way, because people are nosy. People want to know about your backstory, where you used to work, what you used to do, why you started your business. People really want to know that. And we go, oh, God, my story's boring. No one wants to know about that. Once you get over that, people are really, really nosy. So they really want to hear about those things. And once you tell your story, it can never be wrong. It's a piece of content that can absolutely never be wrong. I worked in corporate marketing for 20 years. Bank. That's it. No one can ever go, no, you didn't. And you're like, oh, I don't care. And also, if you don't have, no one will ever say it'll be, you didn't do that, or you didn't have this experience, or you didn't do this before, because they're just like, she did what? Why does she do that? Because I'm super nosy. I want to know. So if you start with I'm going to tell my story, and then lead into that, and it's like, and that's where you're at now because of what you've done or decisions you've made and things like that. Then people are like, so what do you do now? Oh, okay, so you do this business and you do that. Oh, and it naturally leads into talking about your business instead of standing up and going, tell me about your business. No, tell me a story. That's what people want to hear. And that's the best marketing you can possibly think of. Tell a story that you can completely own. Get it right in your head. We need to repeat it a lot as well, which really, really gets people down. I'm like, I've said that. You talked about your offer once and you haven't sold anything. I'm not surprised. Let's talk about it 10 times this month and see what you do differently. But tell your story, get comfortable with it. It can never be wrong, and it's so easy to do. And then people go, oh, so now I've got those things to say. Oh, I've thought of loads of different angles and different ways and different little stories I can weave into it. And that's the question I get asked a lot. It's like, oh, I've got nothing to say. No, you've got tons. Absolutely tons.
And it works as well because connection is all that any of us want, and people just want to connect with the person, to understand the person, to feel that the person is human.
Yep.
And when we are able to do that, when we're able to just be ourselves and tell our stories, as you say, that is when people are more drawn towards the work that we do.
Yeah, hugely. They might want your product or your own service, but people go to me, oh, you're ex-corporate, so am I. Oh my God. I got messaged on LinkedIn the other day going, oh, I love that you say you're ex-corporate. And I was like, and for years I didn't. I shied away from it and wanted to be me and stand alone in my new business and this thing. It's like, I do, but I'm not connecting with anyone because my business is new. But actually, I can tell you some horror stories from my corporate world. And people are like, oh, yeah, tell me. What's the worst boss you've ever had? What's the biggest amount of money you've ever spent? What's the biggest brand you worked on? And you tell your story, and people go, oh, yeah, God, I had a boss like that. Yes, I know exactly. And that connection and that resonated with people doesn't always come from, I'm a marketing strategist, and this is what people go, oh, no one connects with that. No one's ever asked me for a marketing strategy, but they've asked me to help them survive half term with 2 kids and running a business. He's like, that I can help with. And then they're like, oh, I resonate with that because she can do this or she knows what she's doing. And those things, I think, are just much more, people really push them aside and think I need to be clever with this or I need my marketing to sound like this. Tell your story, and the right people will then come to you. I think definitely.
I absolutely agree. And I think it is a wonderful way of just connecting with the people that we want to work with. And I think that's a really nice place for us to finish up as well. But Charlie, if people want to find out more about the work that you do, where is the best place for them to find it?
I am all over LinkedIn. Probably spend too much time on LinkedIn, so I'm definitely on there. You'll find me on there, and I'm dabbling back into Instagram. I'm taking my own advice of doing lots of platforms, and now I'm very happy with LinkedIn. I'm back onto Instagram, but yeah, I'm all over there.
It was really nice talking to you. Thank you very much. And for all our listeners, I hope you have enjoyed this conversation. Both Charlie and I would love to hear from you and love to hear about anything that you thought about our conversation. So feel free to get in touch with us, and we'll be back next week. Bye. Before you go, if anything in today's episode had you nodding along or thinking, yeah, that's me, don't leave it there. My free quiz helps you see what stage your birth biz is actually at and what's worth your energy right now, so you're not second guessing every decision or following advice that doesn't fit. It'll only take you a minute to complete, so click the link in the show notes and find out your birth biz stage and what your best next steps are.